Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talking Sports with KJ. Hey, this is going to be a sports podcast in which we're going to talk about weekly things that's happening in the world of sports. And during the week, what I'm going to do is put in daily things on the podcast to keep everybody up to date what's happening in the sports. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about. I really want to go over college football, and not necessarily just football, just the NCAA and some of the things that they have going on. You know, recently Oregon State and Washington State, the last remainders of the Pac-12, since everyone has departed. You have Stanford and Cal looking to go towards the ACC. And then you also have Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, departing for the Pac-12. And then, of course, you have Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA all going to the Big 12. It just remains those two. So what they have done is they've put in a lawsuit basically to stop the operations of the Pac-12, which is an actually interesting thing because their bylaws state that once you indicate that you're leaving the Pac-12, you're no longer a member. So why is that important? That's important because there's a lot of assets coming, a lot of cash coming to the Pac-12. Looking at some of the notes here, we have about $75 million sitting right now to be distributed to other organizations. Institutions, I should say. And then also you got the men's basketball tournament coming up, where it's estimated they can be received somewhere in the neighborhood of $130 million. Well, if those schools vote, the ones that are departing, clearly they're going to take their cut, and that's going to hurt Washington State and Oregon State. So this is going to be interesting how they're going to do this, because now you got inner wars within the conference. People upset because you leave, and now you're trying to take the cookies away from them also as well. So that's kind of, this is going to be very interesting. And this is not the only thing. The only move is going to be happening amongst the conferences. Do not be surprised if you see some other schools start to move in different angles also as well, in particular on the West Coast. And piggybacking off of the Pac-12, Deion Sanders, prime time, man, he doing his thing out there. He won today, earlier. This recording is actually on the 9th of September, and he just went in and demolished the Big Ten's Nebraska, which to this day, I don't understand why Nebraska is in the Big Ten, but it whipped him up, and, everything was personal with him. Some little sly remarks that was made by the coach, taking shots at how Deion Sanders went about putting together his team, the lights, camera, the action, prime time being prime time. These coaches ain't, they don't understand that, man. And Deion has been doing this for years. And the thing is what people really don't understand, that's how you recruit. That's how you get young African-American athletes to come to your program. And this is going to be a big problem in the NCAA. We already talked about lack of black coaches in the NFL. There's also a lack of black coaches in the NCAA for football at the highest levels. And here comes a guy who's a Hall of Famer. He is one of the best athletes to ever walk Earth, or multi-sports, dominated it, and people that's in the age around, I don't say about 50, I say 35 to 50, they remember him playing, right? Deion was he was a person who I wanted to be like. I played cornerback. I wanted to be like him. I had the hairstyle and everything. You can't tell now, but I did. And it's interesting when you sit back and and look at how he put this program together. All right. Basically, what he did was he entered the transfer portal. Right. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the effects of how that's going to, the transfer portal is how it's going to hurt high school students. But I want to talk about Deion and how he used it. He has a model. It's a simple model. It's 40, 40, 20. Essentially what he's doing is he's getting 40% of his athletes that are graduate students. Okay, let me explain what that means. These are kids who already went to other colleges, fulfilled their academic requirements, and still have a year, or in some cases 2 years, remaining of eligibility. So in other words, he's getting kids that are tried and tested, and they're going to come over to this program, and they're not playing around. They're already developed. That's why they beat TCU. That's also why they beat Nebraska. And with that being said, what they ended up doing is the next 40% that's coming in and is transfer students. These are just people who want to get out of existing programs because they're not getting playing time, not a great fit, or things of that nature, right? Again, you're getting top-notch recruits, top-notch talent at a discount. No, they're just unhappy and they want to go someplace and play. So that leaves at 20%. So let me break this down so everybody can really understand. I don't have a calculator right here in front of me, but I'll try to do it. I'm pretty good with math a little bit, and I'm an accountant by trade. Hey, so let's see if I can figure this out. All right, so you got 85 scholarships that's at Division I football. I mean, 31 of his kids are going to be transfer students that are graduate students. The other 31 kids will be regular transfer students who is trying to transfer to go into other schools. And then lastly, the remaining kids will be high school kids that he'll be coming out of high school. That's a formula for a dynasty if done correctly. Hey, can you imagine a kid who Jalen Hurts is the first one who came to mind. He graduated from Alabama, then he went over to Oklahoma. Can you imagine a kid like that? Because Nick Saban in Alabama has a staple of quarterbacks, staple of running backs. Another one is Kamara. Kamara is a great example of it. He transferred out of Alabama and went to Tennessee. Now he's a pro roller as he goes through. So Deion has the formula really to sit back and really, really dominate the sports landscape with his model. Plus, he has the charisma. He has the coaching staff. The coaching staff is really good for Colorado. I mean, you got former head coaches, high-level coordinators, former NFL level position coaches, guys who actually played the game. And just imagine the insight that these guys are going to be putting in these young men's heads. It's amazing. But I do want to talk about the transfer portal. And if it's something that someone gets out of this, I really think sit back and just understand what's about to happen. Imagine you live in the state of Indiana, and the biggest school that's in the state of Indiana right now in terms of, let's say, football. We'll keep it at football. And that's Notre Dame, okay? And then you'll say the second level schools that's going on is your Indiana and then your Purdue's. So understand what I'm saying. You're saying Notre Dame's at the top, 2 Big Ten schools, and then underneath them you have schools such as Ball State. They're in the MAC conference. Underneath them you have Indiana State. Okay? So work with me on this. If you're Notre Dame, why should you go out and try to find a kid that's from Indianapolis, which is the hotbed in the state of Indiana for football. Why go out and get that kid when you can get an existing kid that's doing really, really good and have him transfer from Purdue or Indiana to Notre Dame? Then what happens is now you take Purdue and Indiana. Why sit back and take a chance on a kid that's from, let's say, Northwest Indiana, when you can just sit back and recruit a kid that was at Ball State? Ball State can do the same exact formula. Take a kid from Indiana State. Indiana State can do the same thing and go to a Division II school. Division II school can do the same thing and go to a Division III school. Oh, you can go all the way to junior college. So where's the high school student gets recruited at? So in other words, the only way technically for you to get to the really, really big schools, you got to be one of the really, really big athletes. I'm talking flawless. I've seen a kid, actually I know a kid who actually got recruited during the pandemic to Notre Dame. I never heard of this before, but he ended up leaving Notre Dame to go to junior college. I don't know what happened. That was butt backwards, but that's what actually happened. Now he's playing in Indiana. The thing is it's going to make it extremely hard for you, before all high school kids, is to get into these big time schools. That's football with 85 scholarships. Imagine that formula working in basketball, where they only allowed to give 12. Imagine that happening in softball. We see it left to right. All you have to do is look at University of Oklahoma softball. They just won a national championship. And they just reloaded with about 7 transfers in, which is really big for softball, because softball, they can separate scholarships. What I mean by that is simple. You could take a scholarship and break it up and give it to half a kid, a quarter of a kid, whatever you see fit. Well, the in-state tuition for the University of Oklahoma is about $9,000 a year. Well, the scholarship itself is about $28,000. So all you have to do is just divide that scholarship up to 3 young ladies and then pay their rent. You can see how dynasties can be made and maintained for a very, very long time. And that's troubling because I have a daughter who plays softball and I also have a son who plays football. So you can see where my head is actually spinning. But going back to Deion and using the transfer portal, I wish him all well. The NIL is going to play a lot of roles into this, because once Deion starts getting the attention, the more the commercials. He's all in commercials right now. His kids are going to be in commercials. And what's going to end up happening is the NIL money and just the exposure of his kids is going to be tremendous. And if Deion stays, okay, I'm not going to disrespect him. If Primetime, Coach Prime, stays at Colorado, and I will give him 5 years before he's in the national championship game. 5 years before he's there. He'll stay there for at least 7. So you're looking at a good 12 to 15 year dynasty happening in Colorado if he stays there the whole entire way. But on a more silly topic here, we're talking about gambling within college sports. I mean, this one right here, I don't know how to even put it. So, if the NCAA and institutions and networks are promoting mobile gambling on your phone, what do you expect a college kid to do? They're bored, I'm in the studio right now. There's 3 people. Oh, oh, I can assure you 2 of us are on their phones right now. Oh, I'm actually watching the MMA fight that's sitting down right here next to me. If you give a kid that opportunity to sit back and gamble, wouldn't you think the actual gambling companies would make it so A, you can identify the kid, B, that you can't gamble in a particular location. Everything's via GPS now, by the way. And just prevent these kids from getting into trouble. Now imagine you playing at USC right now, and you're the 3rd string quarterback, and you're getting $50,000 a year because of NIL, and the starting quarterback there's making $3.3 million. As a matter of fact, at one point he was making more money than the head coach. So what do you think that $50,000 a year player going to do? He's going to try to maximize his gain. He already knows what's going on. And you're going to get yourself into a situation that happened at Iowa State, where the quarterback and a couple other kids from University of Iowa, they pled guilty to underage gambling. This happened on Friday. The interesting thing is both of those schools played today. I don't have the score right here in front of me. But I wonder, would they have gambled on today's game? I know I would have, because you would have knew the outcome. So let's change topics here a little bit. Now, see, my other owner of a company here, he's in here. They over there munching on some on food, but no one has ever spoken to me. How you guys doing over there? Okay, they wave. All right, but this I'm gonna ask them a question. I'm not sure. Can they hear me? They hear me? All right. What do you think about the USA basketball losing yesterday to Germany? Mark? Definitely talking to him. What do you think about that?
I really don't care.
Oh, you don't care? Okay.
No, because it's who do they have on there is worth watching.
That's a good point. You said who they got on there worth watching. Well, I got one better for you. It's not about who they have. There's this myth that's going on that the European players are better than the American players. That was a conversation that was had with me earlier this week, and I thought it was funny. A guy who played basketball. I mean, you can't name a top 10 European player that ever played basketball. I got time if you really want to think about that. The thing is when you sit back and you talk about the game of basketball, and especially when you come down to the Olympics or to the international stage, the United States is the only country that participates in the Olympics or World Games and don't send their best. I want you to think about that for a second. I don't even know the gentleman's name, and who plays for Minnesota. I think his last name is Edwards. He's a good player. He's an all-star. This World Cup team only had 4 all-star players. 4. There was 12 of them on the team. I mean, I want you to think about something for a second. You could have got Fox from Sacramento to play on your team. You could have got the guy who just signed the richest contract in NBA history from the Celtics. You could have got Middleton from Milwaukee. You could have got Booker. from the Suns. You even could have got, let's say somebody like Jimmy Butler from the Heat. None of those people who I just named are even in the top 12 NBA players, American players that play. Think about what I just said. You could have got Durant, LeBron, Kyrie. You could have got Chris Paul. You could have got Dame. You could have got, I call him China Doll, but Chicago's own. What's the big kid's name, Mark? For Chicago? Oh, play for the Lakers.
LeBron James.
I said Chicago, not Akron. Anthony. You could have got any one of those, and they would have destroyed a team. But the best you can do is to go get the kid who played for the Lakers, Reeves, who's on the team, and he's not even the fourth option. How in the world are you putting your teams together? Well, I can tell you how some parts of it is, which I think is pure garbage. It's Team Nike. Okay? Because Edwards is Team Adidas. That's his signature shoe that he wears. And the sad part about it is at the beginning of this tournament, he didn't even start. How can you be the best player that's on the team and you're not starting? It's because Nike or these shoe brands, I'm just not going to put them out there, these shoe brands are controlling our USA selection committees. You could have got, Curry. You could have got Thompson. Okay, there's so many players that I don't understand how you lose to Germany, who had Dennis Schroeder. You can't make this up, man. Did anybody think about getting somebody like Marcus Smart? Or even better one, you could have got Pat Beverly. Right? There are so many players, right? Going back to what I said before, they said that the Europeans are catching up. No, I think the shoe companies are kind of helping them make that appearance. But if I was to pick the 4 best foreign-born players that's in the NBA right now, I'll say the top 5 foreign-born players. You got Luka. You got the Joker. You got Greek Freak. We even take a Beeb. Who's the next one? Are we going to take the big fella who went to, Gobert? The guy who basically closed down the whole NBA because of COVID? Is that your top 5? I mean, I could think of 5 guards off the top of my head to make this team, and I haven't mentioned their name yet. You can go get, Ja. You can go get, Curry. You can get Dame. Let me think hard here. You can go get Kyrie. Did I mention Curry? Yeah, I mentioned Curry. What about the little light-skinned kid down there in Atlanta? Trae Young, right? Those are 5 guards, right? Let's talk at the 4 position. I'm going to just pick 5 off the top of my head. We'll take LeBron. We'll take KD. We'll take Tatum. We'll take the little Edwards kid from Minnesota. And you know what? We even gonna get the bad boy Draymond Green. And our big men, We're gonna get China Dow from the Lakers. What's his name again? Anthony Davis, right? And then we'll pick. What's another big kid? We'll take Aiden from the Suns. Now you pick your European team that's in the United States that's gonna beat that team. They'll be about 50. Because those other boys are gonna get ran out the gym. They're gonna take a break. And then them other guys are gonna come in. So please, let's stop that narrative that the Europeans are catching up in basketball, right? It's another 50 years before that happens. But the NBA is helping it. Bad USA teams, draft status. But yeah, we have to do better. We really have to do better in how we select our teams here. As I sit back and I look at this roster is amazing here. I mean, maybe I'm gonna get some laughs here. So you picked the number one pick for the Magic. He went to Duke last year. I don't even know his name. Mikal Bridges. He was Villanova, good player. Jalen Bronson. Like I say, Anthony Edwards. Tyrese Halliburton. I don't even know who this guy is, right? Right. Josh Hart. Brandon Ingram. I mean, you could have went and got what's the big fella's name? Zion, and that would have been better than that. You got Cam Johnson. You could have got the kid, and I can't even think of his name either. The one who got beat up by Draymond and would have been better on that team. Jordan Poole. Yeah, he'd have been better. You got Walker Kessler, Bobby Portis. I mean, what is this? And Austin Reeves. That don't even sound like a team. And these are all NBA players representing the United States. Man, you could have went and got some. You could have got the best players in Illinois, where we're actually reporting this. We're recording this podcast at the best players in Illinois, college and or pro, on the Bulls. That was Americans, and they would have won the World Championship. Seriously, with a bunch of high school students, a couple college kids, and a couple kids from the Bulls. Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. You could have got one of the Ball brothers to come play on this thing, and I mean this is bad. It is absolutely horrible. Oh, but nevertheless, that's how we do it here in the United States, and unfortunately, that's how it's always going to be. We're going to get ourselves caught up into a situation in which it's going to be absolute embarrassment. LeBron James is hinting that he might actually come and play for the 2024 Olympics and making his farewell tour, which would be a great thing. He's going to go get his boys. Right? You think Kyrie going to miss that team? You think Steph going to miss it? Kevin Durant going to miss it? I wouldn't even be surprised if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, and along with Paul George, they come on out there on that team and just mollywop again. And we just have to do better when we represent, the United States. We just have to, because it's really bad for you to lose to Germany. I mean, I can't even think. Chris Kaman from Central Michigan was the last All-Star that played for Germany, and Dennis Schroeder. You can't get too much worse than this, right? I don't even know. Like Mark said, he don't even care, right? And that's a shame, because with the Olympics coming around the corner and the big marketing that goes on with it, what are we actually looking at? Women's basketball for the Olympics do not make those type of mistakes. They might leave off one or two. they don't leave off all 12. So, like I said, we have to do better with that. So, one of the big things that we're actually going to be doing for our podcast, it's going to be fun. For those who don't know, went to the University of Miami for undergrad, University of Michigan for grad school. I'm from Michigan, Detroit, the Dirty D. And one of the things that Mark and I, we're going to have actually championship week when University of Michigan plays the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, he's one of those Buckeye wannabe fans, and he doesn't understand the history between the two institutions. I won't bore you with that, but if you're born in Michigan, either you a Sparty or you're a Wolverine, but you hate Ohio State. That's how it works. So we're going to actually do a podcast that week leading up to it, because I'm actually going to the game, and those tickets are secure, right? So take my son so he understands is what the Buckeyes are and what a Wolverine is. And for Mark, if you really want to know the difference between a Michigan Wolverine and a Ohio State Buckeye, it's called a W2. Understand that. All right. So, he over looking at me strange. Hey? I'm talking bad trash about Ohio State. So, but I hope they do go undefeated. I hope they win every single game, and until the third week in November, when they march themselves into the big house. That's right. And then we're going to go ahead and take care of them again for the third year in a row. So I'm talking trash now. Go Harbaugh. Matter of fact, free Harbaugh. I don't understand why he's suspended anyway. Hey, got suspended for a cheeseburger. Come on now. I don't get it. Right. All right. I hope y'all picking this up on camera, because he over there talking mad trash right now. It's like he just can't wait for Michigan to lose. But I want to piggyback to the to NIL, because this is something that was talked about earlier in this podcast, and I want to talk about the total effects that has. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but pay for play, you got Reggie Bush following the lawsuit against the NCAA for pay for play. For those who don't know what that means you are actually paid by an institution, whether it's a booster or someone to that sort, to attend their university. That's been going on for decades, actually half a century. But he's trying to get his Heisman Trophy back. But the thing that I really want to talk about is how NIL is going to affect other sports, in particular the WNBA. Hey, when Mark and I was talking, we talked about two young ladies. The young lady from, I can't think of her last name. I know her name is Caitlin. She was from Iowa. She kind of got into it with the girl from LSU, a little talking trash back and forth. But I want you to think about something for a second. Both of those young ladies who are playing right now in college makes more money in NIL than any WNBA player currently. So why in the world, when these young ladies graduate, because that is a requirement to become a WNBA player, you must have graduated with a degree, which that's even crazy too as well. But if you're making $2 to $3 million in college, Why would you want to participate in the WNBA where the highest paid person only makes $250,000? That makes 0 cents at all. And you wonder why people like Brittany Griner played over in Russia, Maya Moore played over in Russia, Candace Parker played over in Russia, uh, um, Tarasi, Sue Bird, they all went overseas. Not just Russia, but Italy, France, China. They make millions there. And they make peanuts here in the United States. And the marketing for them is absolutely absurd because there's some ladies that are in the WNBA that are highly attractive. Okay? They're highly attractive. And you know what all ladies do? They wear makeup. They in the high fashion. They like their shoes. But yet I don't see any commercials on them at all. With the marketing that they could do, they would make millions here in the United States, just like our men counterparts. LeBron James probably doesn't even eat a McDonald's hamburger, but he's on a McDonald's endorsement. He probably doesn't even drink soda at all, but he represents Sprite. Why aren't our young ladies doing the same exact thing? At least get them on an ice cream commercial. No, I don't understand that. But one of the things I do want to say is thank you, first, for listening. And we're going to have these every week. When I sit down, I won't be here in this beautiful studio every single time. I have a mini studio at my home. So I will be doing some of these each from my home. But more importantly, I want everyone to check out my daily takes that I have. These will be, I'm going to try to put out about 4 or 5 a day on the hot topics that's going around. I'm waiting for my music to arrive and waiting for my artwork to arrive also as well. And that stuff is in the making. So I expect for that to be squared away by the end of the month. And we're going to get this thing rocking. So I need everyone to sit back, subscribe, hit the like button. And we're going to get this up and running and see how many people really like it. Please leave all your comments. I talk a lot of trash. That's all good. But I try to keep it interesting and educational and enlighten individuals was actually in the world of sports. I've been around it this is 28 years of doing it. No, I coach college basketball, played college basketball. I still do high school sports. I still do youth sports, right? So I've been around it. And what I try to do is educate people exactly what's going on so they can make the right choices and the right decisions. The next podcast I'm going to do, I'm going to sit back and talk about really in depth about youth sports, in particular middle school sports, right, and help parents really sit back and talk about how you can get your kids into the right situations. I won't go into depth about that, but that's something I'm going to spend about a good 15 minutes on, and so parents do not get their kids caught up in the bad situations. All right, so everybody have a good evening. God bless, and level up.